The big bad wolf wiped off the grime on the glass exterior wall, only to discover that all the employees inside were plump, delicious sheep. An evil plan instantly formed in his mind. First, he disguised himself as a docile dog, then used a forged resume to directly apply for a job at the sheep company. The dog boss, seeing that the wolf was one of his kind, hired him without much thought. On his first day, many sheep colleagues trembled in fear upon seeing the big bad wolf, but he paid no mind and quietly settled into his workstation. He first hid the tools needed for his scheme in the drawer. Just then, a colleague brought over a stack of documents for him to process. But instead of reviewing them, the big bad wolf started drafting his sheep-catching plan on top. Lunchtime quickly arrived, and a considerate colleague invited him to eat. The big bad wolf swiftly tossed his completed plan on the ground and headed to the company break room. A sheep colleague poured him a can of dog food. To avoid exposing his identity, the big bad wolf choked down a mouthful despite his disgust. To his surprise, the dog food surprisingly suited his taste, and he quickly finished a large bowl. From then on, he fell in love with dog food, and his sheep-catching plan transformed into a plan to become a permanent employee. To secure a permanent position, he continuously sought advice from his sheep colleagues on work matters. Even his computer, which he initially couldn't even turn on, he could now operate proficiently. His interactions with colleagues also grew increasingly harmonious, and even the originally terrified old sheep gradually accepted him. His efforts paid off. One day, the big bad wolf finally became a permanent employee. To thank his colleagues for their help, he used his first paycheck to treat all the sheep colleagues to a cabbage feast. That day, he worked tirelessly from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Famished, he opened his drawer only to find that he had consumed all the dog food cans. The big bad wolf panicked. All the surrounding colleagues were sheep. He hurried to the break room and yanked open the cabinet storing the dog food cans, but to his dismay, it was completely empty. He frantically pulled open all the other cabinets but couldn't find a single can of dog food. His inner anxiety and panic intensified. At that moment, a sheep colleague nearby was flipping through a gourmet magazine. The steak images made the already hungry big bad wolf even more ravenous. Suddenly, the aroma of roasted whole lamb wafted over. It turned out that a little sheep's bottom had been grilled like teppanyaki by the radiator. Seeing the oily sheep bottom, the big bad wolf, afraid he couldn't resist, swiftly ran out of the break room, narrowly missing the little sheep who came to deliver the cans. To protect everyone and keep his job, the big bad wolf decided to take the elevator downstairs to buy lunch. However, just as the elevator doors closed, a large group of little sheep suddenly rushed in. When the elevator reopened, it had turned into a scene of carnage. And so, the big bad wolf successfully lost his job as a dog and could only return to his old ways. However, when he scraped off the grime on the glass of the next floor, he discovered an office with feathers flying everywhere, and thus, a new sinister plot began to take shape in his mind.